What happens when two of country music's biggest stars clash live on television in a way no one could have seen coming? The Kelly Clarkson Show was supposed to be just another friendly promotional stop for Jason Aldean, but what happened that day turned into one of the most shocking and talked about moments in daytime TV history. Before we jump into this unbelievable story, make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments what you think really caused this fiery confrontation between Kelly and Jason. The studio lights were bright and hot as Kelly Clarkson shuffled her cue cards, stealing a glance toward the side of the stage where Jason Aldean was getting some last-minute touch-ups from the makeup team. It was a regular Tuesday afternoon taping, nothing out of the ordinary. Kelly's show had always been known for its relaxed, conversational vibe, the kind that made celebrities open up and laugh freely. The audience that day was buzzing with energy, a mix of loyal fans and excited visitors. Many wore cowboy hats and Jason Aldean tour shirts, ready to cheer for their favorite star. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only Jason Aldean," Kelly said with her usual warm smile. The crowd erupted in applause and whistles. Jason walked out confidently, waving to the fans, that trademark swagger in his step. He settled into the cozy guest chair across from Kelly, where so many stars before him had shared funny stories and heartfelt moments. But this interview would take a very different turn. "Jason, welcome back to the show," Kelly began brightly. "It's been, 3 years since you were last here?" "Something like that," Jason replied casually, though his tone had an edge to it, something sharp that the cameras caught, even if the live audience didn't. "Time flies when you're out there making real music, instead of sitting behind a desk." Kelly's smile faltered for just a second, but she quickly recovered. "Well, you've definitely been busy. Your latest album's been getting a lot of attention, though not all of it's been positive. How do you respond to critics who say your newer work doesn't have the same authenticity as your older stuff?" Jason's jaw tightened, his eyes narrowing slightly. "You know, Kelly, I find it interesting that someone who built their whole career from a reality show feels qualified to lecture me about authenticity. At least I write my own songs." The studio fell silent. Even the camera operators paused, sensing the sudden shift in tone. Kelly stayed composed, but her eyes sharpened. "That's an interesting perspective," she said evenly. "Though I'd say winning American Idol and then building a successful music career afterward gives me a little insight into what real talent looks like. But let's talk about your music. Your fans love your new sound, but some in the industry are saying you've lost touch with your roots." "Industry insiders," Jason scoffed, leaning back in his chair. "You mean the same people in Nashville who think country music died with Hank Williams? The same people who told you pop country was the future when you were trying to break into that world, before you gave up and went back to television?" The audience began murmuring, feeling the tension grow thicker. Kelly's fingers tapped lightly against her cards, a familiar habit for anyone who knew her, her way of keeping calm. "I didn't give up on anything, Jason," she said firmly. "I made choices about my career based on what made me happy and what allowed me to connect with people. Maybe that's something you should think about instead of alienating half your fan base with controversial statements." "Controversial statements?" Jason repeated, shaking his head. "Now, just having an opinion makes you controversial? That's the world we live in, where everyone's scared to offend anyone. Walking on eggshells, pretending life's all sunshine and rainbows." "No one's asking you to pretend anything," Kelly shot back, her voice still calm, but colder now. "But there's a difference between having opinions and being intentionally divisive. You've been taking shots at other artists, at fans, at the industry itself. It's like you're burning bridges on purpose." "Maybe some bridges need to be burned, Kelly," Jason said, leaning forward. "Maybe this industry needs a wake-up call. Too many people pretending that pop stars and reality show winners know what real country music sounds like." The words hit hard. Kelly's face flushed slightly, but her voice stayed steady. "So that's what you think I am? A manufactured pop star?" Jason shrugged. "I think there's a big difference between earning your spot by playing in bars and fairs for years and getting handed a record deal because you sang other people's songs on TV." Kelly's voice rose just a little. "Jason, do you have any idea what it takes to perform live every week in front of millions of people? To handle that pressure and prove yourself over and over again?" "I'm sure it's exhausting," Jason said sarcastically. Almost as tough as playing 300 shows a year for people who actually paid to be there, not free ticket fillers for a TV audience. The atmosphere grew heavy. Crew members exchanged uneasy looks. Producers motioned frantically behind the cameras, but both stars were locked into their argument. "You know what, Jason?" Kelly said, setting down her note cards. "I've interviewed hundreds of artists, country, pop, rock, all of them. And most, even if we don't see eye to eye, show up with some level of respect. But you came in here acting like you're doing me a favor." "Maybe because I am," Jason fired back. "Your ratings are slipping, Kelly. Everyone knows it. Maybe having someone with real talent on the show will help." That one hit her hard. Kelly leaned forward, anger flashing in her eyes. "Real talent? Let's talk about that, Jason. Your last 3 singles barely broke the top 20. Your tour sales are down 30%. You really want to talk about talent?" Jason's face flushed. "Did your team dig that up for you? What's next? My personal life?" "I don't need to," Kelly said. "Your professional record speaks for itself. But if we're talking personal, how about your habit of throwing others under the bus to stay relevant?" Jason laughed bitterly. "Lady, I've been selling out arenas since before you knew what a recording studio was. I don't need to trash anyone to stay on top." "Really?" Kelly pressed. "Because that's exactly what you've been doing. Taking shots at younger artists, criticizing the evolution of the genre, pretending you're the only real musician left. Meanwhile, your own music keeps drifting further from the roots you claim to protect." Jason suddenly stood, his chair rolling backward. The crowd gasped. "You don't get it, Kelly," he said, voice raised. "You sit here chatting for 20 minutes and think you understand people's lives. You don't." "Sit down, Jason," Kelly said, rising to meet him. "You're on my show. If you can't handle a conversation without throwing a tantrum, maybe think twice before calling others unprofessional." "Your show?" Jason snapped. "This studio belongs to the network, Kelly. They're just waiting to replace you with someone younger, cheaper, like they do with everyone who forgets their place." Kelly's expression hardened. "Forgot my place? Jason, you've been disrespectful from the minute you walked out here. You've insulted me, my career, my team. Disrespectful?" Jason stepped closer, his voice booming. "Disrespectful is ambushing a guest with attack questions and pretending it's a friendly chat." "I didn't ambush you," Kelly said sharply. "I asked real questions about your career and your statements. If you can't answer them, that's on you. Maybe I shouldn't even be doing interviews," Jason said coldly. "Maybe I should stick to places where people appreciate actual music instead of wasting time with failed pop stars pretending to be industry experts." The audience gasped again. Kelly's eyes flashed. "Failed pop star? Jason, I've sold more albums than you ever will. I've won more Grammys, more awards, and I've done it without alienating the entire industry." "Grammys?" Jason scoffed. "Those meaningless trophies they hand out to whoever the labels tell them to." "Real impressive, Kelly." "At least I've got something to show for my career," she shot back. "What do you have? Songs about trucks and beer? A shrinking fan base that's tired of your arrogance?" Jason's fists clenched. "You don't know anything about country music, Kelly. You never did." "I know enough to spot a has-been when I see one," Kelly replied, her words slicing through the silence. "You're scared, Jason. Scared the industry's moving on without you." Jason's laugh was harsh. "Kelly, you're a 40-year-old daytime host. Your music career's over. At least I'm still out there." Kelly stepped forward, her voice cold. "Your last album flopped. Critics tore it apart, fans didn't care, radio ignored it. But sure, keep telling yourself it matters." The two stood inches apart, breathing hard, faces red with anger. The studio was dead silent. "You know what matters?" Jason said in a low, dangerous voice. "I built my career with my own hands. I didn't need a TV show to get famous." "And yet here you are," Kelly whispered. "Standing on my stage, on my show, trying to prove you still matter while your career sinks." Jason took another step forward. For a moment, it looked like things might turn physical before security moved subtly closer. "You used to be talented," Jason said finally, his voice quieter but full of venom. "You sold out so hard you forgot what real music sounds like." Kelly's expression froze. Her voice trembled slightly when she answered. "You want to talk about selling out? Let's talk about you chasing demographics that will never accept you." You've compromised everything you said you stood for, just for clout. I've never compromised, Jason said, but his voice cracked slightly. Kelly leaned back against her desk. You used to sing about real people, real stories. Now you just pick fights to stay in headlines? At least people still talk about me, Jason said weakly. Kelly smiled, but it was a cold, knowing smile. Jason, the difference between us is simple. I moved to television because I wanted to. You're here because you need to be. I don't need this show, Jason snapped, but the words didn't sound convincing. Your publicist begged to get you on, Kelly said. 3 calls, Jason. That's not confidence. That's desperation. The color drained from Jason's face. You think I need your little talk show? Then why are you here? Kelly asked softly. If your career's so strong, why spend an afternoon talking to a failed pop star on a show no one watches? Jason opened his mouth, then closed it. He had no answer. You're here because your last tour canceled 17 shows. Your label's panicking. You're here because despite all your talk about authenticity, you're just like everyone else, scared of fading away. That's enough, Jason said, voice shaking. Is it? Kelly pressed. Because I've sold over 25 million albums. My Christmas album outsold your last 2 releases combined. I've got Grammys, Emmys, and a Golden Globe. What do you have, Jason? Jason exploded. Keep your fake awards, Kelly. You peaked 15 years ago. Then leave, Kelly said calmly, motioning toward the door. No one's stopping you. Jason hesitated, his jaw tight. Fine, he said finally. I will. He started walking away, then stopped to look back. You could have been great, Kelly. You had the voice, but you chose the easy route. Now you're just pretending to be relevant. Kelly's smile didn't fade. And you could have lasted, Jason, if you hadn't let your ego eat your talent. I'm not stuck here. I chose this. That's what you'll never understand. Jason stared at her for a long moment before ripping off his mic and dropping it on the coffee table with a loud crack. Good luck with your show, Kelly. Hope the ratings bump's worth it. Oh, I think it will be, Kelly replied coolly. Thanks for the content. Jason turned, boots echoing on the studio floor as he left without another word. The heavy studio door slammed shut behind him. Kelly stood alone for a long moment, breathing deeply, then looked straight into the camera. Well, she said smoothly, that was unexpected. We'll be right back after this break. The cameras stopped, but the studio stayed frozen in silence. Crew members stood still, audience members whispering, still recording on their phones. Kelly's hands trembled slightly as the adrenaline faded. The confrontation was over, but everyone there knew they had witnessed something unforgettable. 2 stars tearing each other apart on live TV. So what do you think really pushed Jason Aldean over the edge? Was it Kelly's comments about his declining career, or was there something deeper behind that explosive argument? Subscribe and share your thoughts, because this is one TV moment that will be remembered for years to come.